Views expressed in the videos are my observation, analysis of events, persons based on principles of astrology. It's not my intent to predict, forecast absolute outcomes, only suggest how they may unfold. Nothing is set in stone. I could be wrong, but often I'm right. My desire is not to promote fear, only inform about what we see unfolding. It is our wish to prepare our subscribers for events that could affect them, their family, their goals, and their future, to help to prepare for what you may already feel suspect is happening, and to send a warning shot across the bow and raise a flag of concern. Our goal is to help, not hinder, in these perilous times, to inspire and offer possible direction, and to reveal that a greater plan and purpose are behind all that is happening. Eventually, we will see a brighter day. If you would like to show your appreciation for our work on these videos or this channel, and also the Knowing Whispers channel, you can always click on the word thanks at the bottom of all the videos. Hello everybody, it is Robert Cosmar of the Astrology for Those Awakening YouTube channel. And this morning I'm going to do a breakdown of what we possibly can expect for the November the 7th, 2028 presidential election, if in fact it does happen. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as I get into this particular chart. I want to take some time here to explain why I chose this particular time for this particular chart. Most astrologers, I feel, when they don't know a birth time, will either pick 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. I choose 12 p.m. because that is the time of day when essentially the sun is at its highest. That is the time of day when the energies, in my opinion, are the strongest. Okay? And things that have been in the works astrologically in regards to the other planets are going to start to solidify. Okay? So when you don't know a person's birth time, or you don't know the birth time of an event, choosing 12 o'clock p.m. is probably better than 12 a.m. because it has a tendency to solidify the energies that are active within that particular day. Okay, is the best way I can explain that to you. All right, this is the chart of Election Day, November the 7th, 2028. And there's a lot of information in here. And I'll let you decide for yourselves who you think the winner is going to be. The thing here that strikes me as being really important has to do with the fact that Pluto in this particular chart is in the first house. This tells me that that day, Plutonian energy, transformation in the sign of Aquarius, okay, with broad-ranging changes in technology, philosophy, elections, because elections are ruled by Uranus, which rules Aquarius, are the order of the day. The thing that's interesting about this particular chart is that we have a fairly tight T-square between Pluto and Mercury and Saturn. Saturn is opposing Mercury here, and it's in a wide opposition to the Sun here. Now, for those of you who know a little bit about the planets that rule the Democratic and Republican Party, the Republican Party is essentially ruled by Saturn, conservative energy. Right? A T-square here between Pluto and Saturn, okay, is always a very challenging, difficult aspect. I've done videos in the past about Pluto-Saturn connections, conjunctions, oppositions, and squares. And without fail, in most of the major wars that have happened over the last several hundred years, there has been an aspect between Pluto and Saturn. And the reason for that is that Saturn represents structure, current held beliefs, okay? The way things exist in terms of their form, their structure. Pluto representing evolution, representing in a person's chart their higher self, their higher conscious self, is striking down the old forms represented by Saturn. And they both have an impact upon Mercury, communications. Okay? So, in this particular situation, on this particular day, we have this aspect of Pluto in a T-square to Saturn and Mercury. And this does not bode well for the Republican Party, obviously, which is ruled by Saturn. Okay. And there is, in a sense here, also a wide square between Pluto and the Sun. Okay. Which also could be somewhat problematic in regards to the leadership that's in the office right at the moment, the Republican Party. So this entire situation, okay, on that particular day could be very volatile too. Okay, very volatile in the sense that there could be a grasp for power. There could be, pull all the stops out, do whatever you can, okay? Dealings with the media, okay, represented by Mercury. To a degree, you could say that Mercury has something to do with the voting, although Uranus does rule voting, okay? But the communications at that particular time, okay, this could be a time, like I said, where there is expectancy of change, or there is, a lot of combativeness and things of that nature. Now, when you look at the other side of the coin here about what rules the Democratic Party, you have Jupiter conjuncting Venus. Okay? Jupiter rules the Democratic Party along with Neptune. Okay? And Venus. Okay. Jupiter-Venus is always a very pleasant aspect. In a person's chart, it adds to the warmth of their personality. It adds to their jovialness. All right. You could say that this is a positive indication for the Democratic Party, but there is a problem with it. And the problem has to do with the opposition down here with Neptune. Okay. Deception. Illusion. Okay. You could say offhand that this aspect between Pluto, Mercury, and Saturn could be a harbinger of things getting to a critical point to where the very real possibility of some kind of civil outbreak could occur. If you'll remember in the video that I did prior to this is 2028. From 2026 through 2029, really, we're talking about volatile change in the United States of America. We're talking about Saturn aspects to critical points in the USA chart, and then Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune, which indicate evolution. Also, squares, conjunctions, oppositions. All right. So this is kind of at the upper end of all of this stuff that's going on. Very challenging and troubling stuff that I'm sure will heighten the anxiety and the fear that is prevalent even now. The question with this Jupiter conjuncting Venus in the sign of Libra, opposing Neptune, is the aspect of Jupiter conjuncting Venus strong enough to allow this particular election to be taken back by the Democrats? Or are they deluding themselves because there's other factors that are going on here that are going to be in the way? Okay? There is the belief that the Republicans have found a way to cheat to win elections through deception or through some kind of technological mumbo jumbo. There is that distinct possibility that in the last election that maybe Elon Musk somehow, with the help of hackers, found a way to shift votes. Very possibly. We won't know. Okay? Probably, maybe ever. But the things that are also an indication here of this particular day, if you'll take a look over here at the moon is afflicted on that day. It is in the 6th house in this chart, somewhat close to the 7th house, okay, of relationships. But it's also squared by Venus, and it's also squared by Jupiter. So it could be that the Democratic Party, while there is some hopefulness that there is some shenanigans that are going on behind the scenes that are going to prevent their hopes from being realized, and that the activity of the Republican Party, while it is in a sense decaying, is still a formidable force to be dealt with. Okay, and again, that Neptune opposing Venus and the situation regarding the moon, okay, could be an overexcitability of things that do not happen because of deception, do not happen because of some kind of fraud or some kind of overestimation. Okay. Now, at some point, I'm going to do a video probably on Gavin Newsom and maybe even Kamala Harris to talk about this particular day, what it says about their chances and stuff like that. I'm also going to do a video, much broader video, showing you the time frame from 2016 on through and beyond into 2029, because I want to show you the clusters of aspects, hard aspects, that began after Trump won the first election, and as they are now up until 2028. You'll get a sense of the scope of the turmoil that is going to be going on during these particular periods of time. Okay? And again, for those of you that are aware and awake and hopeful, okay, you need to understand and embrace the fact that all of this stuff that you see going on is for the evolution, the conscious evolution of humanity and the United States and the world, really. Okay? But before we can accomplish that, before we can fully awaken to that possibility, there has to be the dismantling of the structures that have been built up over 250 years. And of course, this is the most troubling challenge that we deal with, is the fear that that brings. And all of the deceptive misrepresentations that are going on in the media. You know, as you know by now, the media is very unreliable in terms of reporting the truth, the whole truth. They have their side of the truth. They want you to believe their side of the truth. But that's not always the whole truth. Okay? And there's so much fear intermingled with all of that, that the vast majority of Americans don't know what to believe. They're just hanging on to whatever they feel will get them through with the least amount of suffering and pain. And of course, right now, for many people, it's Donald Trump. He's their savior. He's the one that's going to bring about the future evolution of America in positive directions. And of course, for those that are Democrats, that seems to be absolutely unconscionable that that would happen because of who he is and what he represents. But this is what we're looking at. Okay, we have another aspect here too to take into consideration. We have Uranus down here squaring Mars. You can see that over here in the aspectarian. Okay, it does trine Venus, and it does trine Jupiter, okay, but it squares Mars, okay, and as I said earlier, Uranus rules elections, okay, and oftentimes when you're talking about Uranus and Mars, you're talking about accidents or impulsive actions, okay, a lot of frenzied activity and stuff like that. So again, if, okay, and I say that if because I wonder whether or not there will be an election in 2028, whether it'll be permitted, or whether this Pluto squaring Saturn and Mercury is some form of hijacking, along with Uranus squaring Mars and Neptune opposing the Jupiter, Venus, and Libra. Okay, we won't know that until it gets closer to that time, but I can say definitely that the period between now, going into early 2026, on through and after 2029, is probably going to be the most volatile period of the entire Trump administration's, being this the second one. And we may see more attempts, more struggles to minimize freedom, to gain more control. Okay. The big thing involved in all of that is going to be, can the lower courts stop a lot of what's going on, which is seemingly what's going on right now? Will the Supreme Court, my mind's working slow this morning, will the Supreme Court enter into some kind of a power grab for Trump's sake as we move into the election in 2028? Or will Trump declare himself president for life? And will there be enough resistance to that it's prevented? Or will we be, by this time, in some form of limited civil war? Or will we be in a situation where the United States decides to break up and become separate entities? A lot of people talk about the fact that some states may go red, some states may go blue, and they all may decide to form their own allegiances and things of that nature. We really won't know that until we see that happen. But with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, anything is possible. We're seeing advances in technology. We're seeing advances in philosophy, advances in political change. We're seeing a revolution in the viewpoint of how people define reality and of what they want, and if they're ready for that. Okay? Keep in mind again that Pluto purifies things. It disassembles things that do not serve a higher purpose. It represents the highest purpose of the universe. Okay? When you have a hard aspect of Pluto in your chart, it will almost always, if it's a conjunction, square, and opposition, bring you into an eventful situation, relationship that can and often does transform your view of life, your view of reality. Okay? So this is what we're looking at. All right, and like I said, this is the thing to understand about these charts, any chart. Because I know the thinking that most people have about astrology is that it's like you're saying that the chart controls exactly what could happen on a particular day at a particular time. It's much more than that. It's actually the karma, fate, and destiny manifesting at that time. It's what the universe is bringing forth at that time. Okay? And it says how well we deal with those adjustments or how well we don't deal with those adjustments. Okay? So what I'm saying here is that what I'm showing you here is the fated karmic destiny of that particular moment. Okay? And depending upon how things have developed up until that point, we'll know a little bit better how this is all going to play out. Okay? And for those of you that are still holding on because of fear to the hope that this is all going to somehow return to the way things were, in the past, not going to happen. Okay? Change is the order of the day, and this should send you a warning in a way that if you're not changing, okay, if you're not growing, you're decaying. In a way, you're dying, okay, because you're not realizing what it is the universe is trying to show you. Okay? All right. Keep in mind that every Sunday from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I have a live stream. It's called Wisdom for Those Awakening, Conscious Knowledge, where I talk in depth about the process of spiritual awakening, where I show and reveal to you many of the factors that are involved in it, what to expect, how it's going to affect you, how you may be feeling now as you're dealing in many levels with fear, whether or not you are at a point to where you are overcoming or have learned to overcome your fear of the future, or whether or not you're still in that grip, that horrible grip of feeling like you're a victim, which many are. Okay? So if you want to, obviously I want to invite you to be a part of that on Sunday. I broadcast now on both YouTube channels, and for about 3 or 4 weeks, I'm broadcasting also on LinkedIn and Facebook. So you can catch the broadcast also besides YouTube on Facebook and on LinkedIn as well. Okay, I hope that this helps to clarify some things, the possibilities. Again, understand that these insights are my interpretation. They are not necessarily how things will absolutely manifest, but I feel like that in some respects they'll be pretty close to that. And my reasoning for doing these videos again, primarily, as I gave it more thought, is because of the fact that for those of you that are not dealing with the necessary changes that you need to make within inside of yourself, there are those that are still influenced and affected by fear and doubt and confusion. And you need to have some kind of a sense of what is going on and why it's going on. So we'll continue to do these videos, probably one a week for the time being, while I'm doing the other work on spiritual transformation, to keep you abreast of the severity of the times that we're moving into. Okay, again, I hope you enjoy the video and you'll share it, and I look forward to keeping in contact in the community, and also sharing more videos about where we're headed over the next several years. Thank you for watching. From the love of my life, CJ, my spiritual partner, my best friend. Okay, we thank you for your support, and we trust that you are doing well during these very challenging times that we're dealing with. Have a great week.